Hello everyone. We're back today and we're going to be showing a short video on dressing the sides of the wheel for doing sidewheel grinding. And where you do a sidewheel grinding would be typically like in a piece like this where you got to get inside this channel right here and you're wanting to grind these sides. And so if you don't dress your wheel and you just come in and you try to grind, a lot of bad things are happening. One, you're using the entire side of the wheel. It's going to generate a lot of heat. And two, you don't know how straight that is. So the whole idea is that you dress these and so that you get just a thin lip on the very outside of the diameter. So that's the only part of the wheel that's touching the part, and that's actually grinding. Now there's a couple do's and don'ts, and one of them, you don't want to use a porous wheel for side wheeling like this, especially not the 46 and the soft grit, because what will happen, one, it's hard on a diamond because it acts like interrupted cuts, and two, it's going to break down real fast. Three, you're not going to get a very good form corner. It's going to be a bigger radius than a regular wheel. And so what you want to use is just a solid wheel. And again, depending on what kind of corner radius you want, you may have to dress, for roughing, like this one's a 46 grit. Use that to rough it out. If you have to get a sharper corner, and then you might want to, on your very finish, switch over to a harder, like an 80K wheel or something that you're just kissing the side and getting the sharp corners down at the bottom if that's what you're shooting for. So anyways, do not use the porous wheels. They are fantastic for flat grinding and other stuff, but they just don't work very good for side wheeling. I tried them, was not impressed. This 46J wheel that I got right here, it will work really good for the roughing, and that's all I'm going to show today, because you'd use the same technique if you swipe out to an 80K. So I'm going to go set this up on the surface grinder, and we'll be back and we'll show you the actual technique that we use to make a lip in here. Okay, the wheel's not on, so I can touch it, but anyways, what I did earlier, I had this diamond and I had the right diameter in there, but I was playing around with it, trying some things and to get ready for the video, and then I actually blew the diamond out on this. And of course, we don't have that on camera. We weren't even filming at the time. But anyhow, this is just a holder that I made. You kick your diamond in at a 15-degree angle because you don't want to grind when we're side wheeling, going back and forth. You don't want to grind with the point of the wheel. You want it up at a 15-degree. And the reason you do that is if you take a diamond and you hold it straight in a holder at 90 degrees perpendicular to your wheel, whether it's the side or the bottom, you grind off the very point. And once you grind off the point of that diamond, it wears. No matter what you do, when you rotate it, it's still a flat spot on there, so it just stays dull. So if you have that kicked at a 15-degree angle and you wear a flat spot, well, now what will happen is you can rotate that, and then your flat spot, if you wore a flat spot in here, when you rotate that up, now you got another sharp edge. And that way you can just keep rotating your single point diamond, and your single point diamond will last a long time like that. And in most shops that I've been at, you'll see that the single points, they're being abused all the time. People will hold them straight, or if they got a 15-degree angle, they'll come in and grind this way, lining up with the wheel, but they're still done grinding with the flat. That's why if you got a 15-degree holder for the bottom of the wheel, you want to hold it like this so that you get the flat just right. When the flat's on there, you rotate it and you got a sharp edge, and you can keep on doing that, and you can get a lot of life out of the single point. So you have the same principles when you're side wheeling, and that's why we have the 15-degree angle up this way. And what I'll do is I'll position my diamond, and I already got it. I like to dress real close to the paper over there. But what will happen is, yeah, I'll be swinging out. I got plenty of clearance there. I got the magnet on and checking my part. And then what you're going to do is you want to come in until you just touch the wheel. And I'm going to open the door so you can see what's happening. Otherwise, you're not going to see it. So I'm going to stay on this side of the wheel because my wheel's rotating that way. And so if I hit, I want it to kick out. If I'm on this side, it can kick in and feed into the wheel, and you don't want that. So you want to stay on this side of the wheel doing your cut. And you don't have to use the full depth there. You can take whatever the depth, whatever the depth of your slot, you can go just a little higher than that. I'm just doing the whole side of this wheel because I don't know what I might use it for in the future. Also, for those that want to comment about my fingers, I'm a good 6 inches away, and a lot of times the camera angle and everything, it looks like I'm real close to that wheel. But just for those out there that might think that the hand's close, it's not. So anyhow, you come up and you can just hear it touching. And then I like to come all the way across center a little bit and make sure that I got the whole side of the wheel flat. And this is another technique that you can use too if you want to get a real good balance on your wheel. A lot of people, when they balance their wheel, and again, something that I never do on aluminum oxide wheels, just my super abrasives, but they'll dress the bottom off and they'll dress it and they won't do anything with the side. Well, if the sides are bad, you're going to have a balance problem there. So if you really wanted to balance your wheel and do it proper, you're going to want to do both sides of the wheel and take a cut across there just to get that trued up too. So anyhow, you can probably see, I don't know if you can on the camera, I can see over there, I got a nice cut going. Okay, now I got the whole wheel cut like that. And so now I'm just going to come in. I'm not going to come all the way off the wheel. I'm going to leave a lip on it this time. So I'm just going to come off a little bit. And I'm just going to feed in a few tenths at a time. I'll come back. And I can actually see the lip that I'm leaving on here. And so what you have right now, and I won't go real deep with it, I'm going to turn the wheel off. But we have a lip cut in the wheel right now. And so if I set something up and grind with it and touch, you'll see, in fact, I'll do that real quick. You'll see how thick that lip is. But because I cut the whole surface first and then put my recess in there, I got that thin lip, and that thin lip is going to give me the whole circumference is ground good and true. Yeah, and you actually can't see it there. Let me set a piece of scrap steel up on here, and then we'll take a side wheel cut with this, just so that you can see it. So what I did right now is I set up a block of cold roll on there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just ease in and take some light cuts. I always like to have my X-Traverse speed going pretty good for roughing. Now, when you cut that recess in there, you should go probably about 5 thousandths deep roughly in there. Just going about half thou at a time. But you can see right now, you can see it's just the lip, that dark color at the circumference of the wheel. That's about all the bigger you want that lip. In some real difficult parts, you might even want to go less, but I wouldn't go much bigger than that on the lip, because the bigger the lip is, the more heat it will generate. So here's some other things to keep in mind when you're sidewheeling. I'm not cleaning the entire face up yet. But here's a couple things to keep in mind. When I'm like this, I got the bottom part of the wheel and both sides from the center line are actually in the cut, so I got more pressure pushing out and it will push the wheel out. When I'm coming over here, I just got one side of the wheel cutting. When I come over here, I got one side of the wheel cutting, so I don't have near as much pressure. So what you're going to get over here, you're going to get a little bit of a curvature, like so. It's going to have a curvature, you know, kind of like that, in that direction. And the only way to minimize that is to take some real light cuts and then just take real slow feeds across there on your final passes. And just multiple feeds. And the other thing, I didn't use coolant because of the video. I want you to see what's happening, but that does generate a lot of heat, so you want to use more coolant. But anyways, let me turn this magnet off. And like I say, Kat, can you see in the camera? Can you see that lip real good? That's dark is the part of the wheel that was touching the part and cutting. It's already loading up, and that's the thing. It's going to load up on you real quick because you got very little bit of the wheel that you're using. And you can see that this, well, it's not even a flat cut, but here's where I was hitting right here. So, and again, I'm about 6 inches away from the wheel, but I'm just trying to hold this up and pivot it. It's got like a mirror finish on it, so it'll leave a good finish. But again, if you try to rough it and you don't go through the steps of like redressing that lip and coming back and just taking your light cuts, what's going to happen is you're going to end up with a bow shape in there, and it might be only a few tenths or whatever. But anyhow, that's a technique that I use for side wheeling, and it works very good. And we can come to the granite, and I'll just show you real quick on the granite another technique that you can use. Okay, here's the part Kathy wanted me to set over here to get a better lighting, and so you can see you can get a real nice finish on there. And if that was going all the way across, I would have sparked it out and maybe wound in probably less than a tenth and then come across fast just to get the nice crisscross action on there. But anyways, another technique that you can use, and I'll probably have to rotate this so you can see it, is if you make a unit like this with a spin fixture, and this is what I popped my diamond out on because I should have went with a 1-inch shaft. I got a 3/4 and I had it sticking out long and I had too much vibration in it. But anyhow, what you can do is you can have your wheel set up and you can come over here and you can dress. You drop this down so that when this is at 90 degrees, it's below, it's, you know, wherever you want the center line of that is, because what you're doing now is you're cutting a dish in the part, and then you'll get a fine lip. And I practiced, not with the good diamond, I used a grit dresser that you use for CBN, and you really don't want to use them on these wheels because these wheels will actually eat them up real quick. But what this is, it's got real fine diamonds impregnated here in steel. So it works great for CBN. And I don't know if Kathy, if you can get a close-up on that or not, where you can see where the diamond's at wear mark where I actually ground some off on there. So anyways, what you would do is you'd swing this radius, and you'd want a longer radius on it. If I went with a 1-inch bar, I could probably set that up and use a V-block fixture, move my V-block up, get a bigger radius. And so what happens is you'll get your low point that's dipping as you swing that radius, and you cut into the wheel. Eventually what will happen, you can come out to where it's almost sharp. And then as you start side wheeling, it breaks away. It'll break away even. And again, you don't want to use a Porsche wheel. But then it'll start breaking away and you get a little flat. And then if you grind the bottom on that, you can thin the flat out that way and keep grinding with the side. The drawbacks to that is this wheel breaks down, and if you go past the center line, you got to remember, with this radius kicking out over here, you got a high point here and you got a high point here. And as this high point breaks down, pretty soon you'll be cutting into the top of your wheel. It won't be relieved enough. So what you could do is you can hand relieve it with a boride stick, which I'm not going to demonstrate on YouTube right here because you are getting your hands real close to the wheel, and it could be dangerous. So I don't want people to do it unless they really know what they're doing. But anyhow, this is another technique that people use, and this works better on your K hardness wheels, your finer grits that won't break down as much. But just keep in mind, because you got a radius that you're putting in the side, you got the high point here, and then the other high point is at the other side of your radius. So anyways, those are a couple different techniques. I generally like using the technique that I showed in the video, where I just dress it flat all the way across. That way I know I don't have to worry about any high point. I always know I got my lip cutting, and the last thing I want to do is be playing with the radius over here and not realizing that all of a sudden I'm cutting the top of my channel with the wheel over here, because it's at the same level of the high point. So anyways, just a couple techniques that you can use. I hope that's helpful. I made this video at the request of Johnny B from Dynamic. We've done some videos with him. He just bought a brand new Acer. I believe it's a 6x18, but it's all hydraulic, and he's getting that set up, and we should be going down there hopefully within the next month or so, and helping him out with that. And I told him that I'd make him a quick video on how to side dress his wheel, because he's got to touch up his back rail and the back of the magnet where the rail sets, because as he indicates it's not real flat, so he's going to be truing that up. So anyways, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.